Friends of the Family, Episode 6, the soft ambient glow of the year 10,323 slowly illuminated the master bedroom of the Harrington residence. Outside, the sprawling, neon-infused skyline of New Metropolis was quiet, its electric violet hues reflecting softly against the smooth porcelain walls of the futuristic home. In this era of instant quantum teleportation and highly advanced technology, the internal human architecture of the heart remained as complex as ever. Inside the quiet room, a massive shift in reality had taken place. Sarah Harrington and Keziah woke up sharing the exact same mattress. It was not a romantic scene, nor was it anything inappropriate for a young audience. It was simply a profound, unexpected manifestation of total vulnerability and a mutual desire to heal from the fractured history that had kept them isolated for over a decade. After years of bitter resentment, intense jealousy, and constant emotional warfare over the scraps of a broken legacy, the two former rivals had finally let their guards down completely. As the automatic window tints adjusted to let in the morning light, Sarah opened her eyes to find herself resting gently in Keziah's arms. The heavy, suffocating anger that once filled the space between them had entirely evaporated. Keziah opened her eyes as well, offering a soft, genuine smile that carried none of the old, defensive pride. They lay there together for several long moments, talking quietly about how exhausted they were from carrying the weight of old arguments, and how relieving it felt to finally see eye to eye. In a moment of pure, platonic sisterhood and deep emotional reconciliation, they shared a gentle, comforting kiss on the cheek, a clean symbol of a new covenant of total peace between two mothers who had decided to choose family unity over historical pain. Sarah smiled, shifting out of the comfortable, form-fitting sheets. "I think it's time for a proper morning. I'm going to head into the kitchen and cook us some real breakfast. No digital nutrient smoothies today," Keziah chuckled softly, propping herself up on her elbow. "That sounds perfect, Sarah. I'll be right behind you." A few minutes later, the pristine, stainless steel kitchen was alive with the warm, rich aroma of breakfast. Sarah stood at the floating induction stove, humming a quiet melody as she prepared a large skillet of traditional morning food. The realism of the moment was comforting, a peaceful sanctuary away from the high-speed racing simulation of the outside metropolis. Suddenly, Keziah quietly snuck into the kitchen, a bright, cheerful expression on her face. Moving without a sound across the polished floor, she wrapped her arms gently around Sarah's waist from behind, leaning in to give her a soft, playful kiss on the side of the neck. The sudden gesture caused Sarah to gasp in surprise before dissolving into a wave of genuine laughter and cheerful giggles. The two women swayed together in the center of the kitchen, completely overwhelmed by a sense of profound relief, laughing loudly as they celebrated the end of their long, bitter division. Act 2, the disruption of unity. However, the peaceful sanctuary was about to be violently shattered by the harsh reality of the younger generation. Quietly materializing inside the main residential portal just outside the hallway were the teenagers. Chloe, Ethan, and Lily Harrington had arrived alongside Keziah's son Jackson. Walking politely behind them were Caleb and Zuri, who had teleported over early to join the families for a morning devotional. The group walked silently down the corridor, their noses instantly picking up the delicious, warm aroma of real food cooking on the stove. Hoping to surprise their mothers, the teenagers quietly crept into the kitchen entryway, stepping softly across the alabaster tiles. But the sight that met their eyes did not bring them joy. Instead, they froze completely in their tracks, their faces instantly twisting into expressions of deep shock, profound disappointment, and, for some of them, absolute fury. Right there in the center of the room, Sarah and Keziah were still tightly hugging and exchanging warm, affectionate kisses on the cheek and forehead, completely lost in their shared happiness. "What is going on in here?" Chloe suddenly yelled, her voice echoing sharply against the metallic cabinetry. Sarah and Keziah instantly broke apart, their eyes wide with surprise as they turned to face the group of teenagers. The reaction from the children was immediate and fiercely intense. This anger did not stem from any suspicion of an inappropriate romantic relationship. Rather, it came from a deep, foundational sense of loyalty to the memory of Thomas Harrington. To the teenagers, seeing the two women who had fought so bitterly over Thomas suddenly acting like absolute best friends, hugging and kissing in the kitchen, felt like a massive betrayal. It felt like an insult to the chaotic history they had all endured, a total erasure of the family structure they had spent their entire lives trying to protect. Are you guys completely serious right now? Ethan demanded, his fists clenching at his sides as he stepped forward, his face red with frustration. For years, we had to listen to you two tear each other apart. We grew up surrounded by your shouting matches and your jealousy. And now you're standing here hugging and laughing like none of it ever happened? This is completely unacceptable, Lily said, her voice shaking with profound disappointment. This is not the way to honor our father. Thomas left us almost nothing in that database, but we still respected his memory. Seeing you two act like this makes it look like his entire life was just a joke to you. Jackson stepped up beside his mother, glaring at her with absolute resentment. You spent my entire childhood telling me how much Sarah ruined our lives, Mom. You carried so much hypocrisy, and now you're just throwing it all away for a breakfast party? It's completely fake. Sarah reached out a hand, her voice desperate as she tried to calm the room. Please, kids, listen to us. This isn't what you think. We finally found a way to forgive each other. We are trying to progress the family? We don't want this kind of progress. Chloe shouted back, tears of anger stinging her eyes. Even Caleb and Zuri stood in uncomfortable silence, their usual polite, faithful expressions replaced by deep concern as they witnessed the intense emotional fracture unfolding in front of them. Act 3, the decision to flight. Without waiting for another word of explanation, Chloe violently raised her metallic wristwatch, slamming her fingers onto the interface to type in a set of emergency coordinates. We are leaving, Chloe cried out. In a brilliant, rapid succession of sharp neon flashes, Chloe, Ethan, Lily, and Jackson instantly vanished from the kitchen, their quantum devices teleporting them away from the household. Caleb and Zuri exchanged a worried glance with the devastated mothers before quickly tapping their own wristwatches, vanishing in a final flash of soft violet light to follow their friends. A fraction of a second later, the teenagers materialized simultaneously on a secluded, floating terrace inside a distant local park. The park was located high above the commercial sector, surrounded by massive, ancient weeping willow trees whose leaves had been genetically altered to glow with a soft silver hue in the year 10323. Below them, the automated cargo pods and distant light tracks of New Metropolis hummed quietly, a cold reminder of how fast the world moved while their own lives felt completely broken. Chloe dropped onto a stone bench, burying her face in her hands as she let out a shaky breath. I can't believe them. I actually cannot believe they would do that. It's a total insult, Ethan said, pacing back and forth across the silver grass, his silver jacket catching the neon light. They spent a decade teaching us to hate the other side, and now they just expect us to accept this weird partnership? It completely dishonors everything our family went through. Jackson leaned against a glowing tree trunk, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. My mom cheated on Thomas the whole time anyway, so her hypocrisy is nothing new. But seeing her kiss Sarah on the neck like they're lifelong sisters? It literally makes me want to clear my database memory completely. Zuri walked over softly, her expression filled with gentle compassion as she looked at the hurting teenagers. I know this looks incredibly confusing and upsetting to all of you. From a faith perspective, forgiveness is a good thing, but the way they are handling it feels completely overwhelming because it doesn't give any honor to the pain you all suffered as kids. Zuri's right, Caleb added politely, stepping up beside her. A true resolution takes time. You can't just jump from total hatred to absolute best friends in a single morning without explaining it to the people who matter most. It feels empty. Lily looked up at the vast, electric violet sky, a sudden, firm determination settling over her face. She looked down at her quantum wristwatch, her fingers hovering over the coordinate input panel. I don't want to go back there, Lily said softly, her voice carrying a heavy, realistic weight. I don't want to teleport back to a house where everything we went through is just erased for the sake of an easy truce. I think we need to leave. Completely. Chloe looked up, her eyes wide as she realized what her sister was suggesting. You mean run away? Yes, Ethan agreed instantly, a fierce spark of rebellion in his eyes as he raised his own wristwatch. We have the technology to go anywhere in the immediate universe. We can type in coordinates to a completely different sector or even a different planet. We don't need to stay here and watch our mothers dishonor our history. Jackson looked at the Harrington siblings, a slow nod of agreement forming on his face. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's find a place where we can actually build something real, without the fake laughter and the hypocrisy. Caleb and Zuri looked at each other, their hearts heavy with a sense of duty and protective faith. They knew that running away was incredibly dangerous, but they also knew they couldn't abandon their friends in a moment of such deep emotional crisis. "If you guys are going," Caleb said seriously, adjusting his wristwatch interface, "Zuri and I are coming with you. We promise to always stand by you, and we're going to make sure you stay safe, no matter what planet we end up on." "Thank you, Caleb," Chloe whispered, a feeling of tight unity wrapping around the group of teenagers. Together, the 6 mid-teenagers stood in a tight circle under the glowing silver willow trees. With synchronized movements, they typed a brand new, distant set of universe coordinates into their sleek wristwatches. They took one last look at the gleaming electric violet towers of New Metropolis, completely turning their backs on the messy world their mothers had created. With a final, loud, echoing pop of fractured gravity, a massive flash of brilliant neon light enveloped the entire terrace, and instantly, the teenagers vanished into the vast, unknown corridors of the cosmos, leaving the city completely empty behind them.